Since in my previous video talking about the one system to rule them all, several people approached me and asked me what are my ideas, how did I adapt these to Mutant Year Zero or Forbidden Lands and so on. I also put in my itch.io the character sheet that I have created for these. This one here, and yeah, and today I also had some questions, so please share, please make a video, please tell me how you do it. And yeah, so this video is not going to answer all these questions at once, and I think that actually my idea here is basically to have one more kind of conversation about this topic, because as I said in my previous video, I like all these systems and all other systems from Free League. Also, they are unique. It's easy to play them solo, but when we have too many characters, it is a little bit complicated to handle all of these characters, at least for my taste. I know that there are people that can handle 3-4 characters without any issue, but for my taste, I think that I need to streamline it a little bit more to be able to play it in a simpler way and easier way, and to make it easier for me to handle it. And I told you guys in my last video that I think that Year Zero Mini is the solution for it. I also have this version here, but my ink was low, but I can read this also. Yeah, so this is, I will not repeat myself, this is the system that I like. I believe this can be used as a framework, as it is written here, to play any one of these games. But of course, we need to adapt some stuff. We need to change some stuff. If you have a look in the character sheet for Year Zero Mini, they do not have mutation point. It does not have rot, sorry. But I found my way to adapt it. So I brought from Mutant Year Zero the mutation point. I brought the rot level also. Also bullets, water, and grub. I added it here in the character sheet because by default the Year Zero Mini does not have it. And unfortunately, I do not have the character sheet printed here, the original one, but one can clearly see here that there is a concept, there is the look, conviction, impulse, but then it has the friend, and I can make it bigger to read. So friend, and I here have mutation, so I had to change this. I had to add mutation. I could have kept friend here as an option, but I just decided to remove it. Then we have the asset that gives 2 dice, and I also have asset here. Other gear, I just create here gear, and the push mechanic is based on the luck points that you have, and instead of lucky points, I'm using another push mechanic that we are going to talk about, but everything down here is basically the same. So I kept the health and the stress mechanic here, like basically the way that the Year Zero Mini handles damage. So I kept it, but the wealth, I had to remove it because here it makes more sense to have bullets, water, and grub. So of course, some kind of work is required to be able to play these games using Year Zero Mini as a framework. But I was thinking how I should approach this topic, how should I find a solution that could fit to any one of these systems. And I think the first thing that we need to think is the push mechanic, because this is what I think makes every one of these games unique. So for those that knows Mutant Year Zero and Forbidden Lands, basically we roll our dice, and I can just show here. Let's say we roll like the amount of dice that our dice pool. Let get the Forbidden Lands dice. So imagining Forbidden Lands, I have 2 strength, and I have some, I do not know, maybe 2 points also in a specific skill that I'm trying to use or to perform. And then let's say that I have a gear that also gives me some kind of dice, and then this is my dice pool, and I need to roll it. And okay, I have a success in my gear dice, but let's say that I would like to have more successes, so I would need to push. I would need to re-roll all these dice that are not 6s. So I would do it like this, and in this case I didn't get any result. But if I have rolled a 1 here, I would take, in this example, 1 point of damage in my strength attribute, because I'm using strength. If it was agility, it would be my agility, empathy, or whatever. So this is how it works. But every time that I push and I roll a 1, I take damage, but I also get some willpower points if I'm playing Forbidden Lands, and it's exactly the same mechanic in Mutant Year Zero, so I would get some mutation points. So basically the same, the dice are different, but it's basically the same. So if we check here, 6s success, and then the 1 means mutation point. However, if I roll a 1 in a gear dice for both Mutant Year Zero and Forbidden Lands, my weapon, I also get the mutation point, but instead of having damage in my attribute, my gear suffers 1 point of damage. Okay, so this is how it works. But in The Walking Dead and Alien, it's different, because what you have is basically stress. So you build your dice pool in the same manner. So okay, let's say 2 points of strength, 2 points to a skill that I have, and one dice from a gear that I'm using. So it's basically the same, but there is no differentiation. So I just need to roll it, and in this case I don't get any success. And if I want to push, I should add a stress die. So, and if I need to push again, 2 stress, 3 stress, and so on. So it increases, and when I roll it, the stress die is going to help me, because I will have more chances to get my 6. But if I roll a 1 in a stress die, in the case of this system is this hand symbol, it means that I have a complication. So in this case, in this example here, I would have succeeded in my action, but I would have a complication. Something bad would happen. And I think this is great. I like this push mechanic, even more than this one here. So we have some options. How should we play, let's say, Forbidden Lands, if I'm going to use like a character sheet like this? So should I keep the push mechanic that it has in the book? Should I adapt like to this one here? Should I keep the original one that is based on the lucky points? It's just a matter of your preference in the end. If you play solo, you can test and see what works better for you. I did this with Mutant Year Zero, and in the end I thought, okay, I will have like the push mechanic, I will have damage points. So I would suffer damage, but instead of suffer damage in my attributes, I will use these here. So what happens here is basically, if I push using strength and agility, and I roll 1, I get 1 point of damage here. So just 1 point. It doesn't matter if I roll 2 1s or 3 1s, it doesn't matter. I just get 1 point of damage, and I get 1 mutation point. And that's it. So I didn't change too much. And it worked. It worked really well because I didn't get too much mutated points, so I couldn't use my mutation very often. But I also didn't take too much damage in my attributes. Yeah, because if I get 1 point here, actually it's one less die in both attributes here, physical attributes. And if I have 1 stress or 2 stress, for instance, it would be -2 dice on both attributes here. So I think it was fair in the end. It worked for my taste once again, and this is what I did to play Mutant Year Zero. But it might not work really well in Forbidden Lands because mutation point is required only for the mutation. If you want to use mutation, you spend mutation point and that's it. And I follow the same rule. So depending on the number of the amount of mutation points that I spend to trigger my mutation, I need to roll certain amount of dice. So let's say if I spend 2 mutation points, I roll 2 dice. And if I roll a 1, in this case I rolled a 1, I have a mutation misfire, and then I need to roll in the table. So I use everything from the book. I use everything. I just do not use the archetypes as they are written, so I get them more like an inspiration for my concept. So there is the dog handler, and this character is a dog handler, so I know if I want to say, okay, let me see what fits in the dog handler. So I can just open the dog handler page. I can see that it has talents, and I can read the talents in the book. It has a special skill and a key attribute. So I can clearly see that if my concept, if I'm trying to perform some action, I can see, okay, does it requires agility? If it does, it means that I have more dice due to my concept, because my concept is dog handler, and in the book it says agility. But I could also use the talents here as a reference to see if it fits well or not. So I do not have the talent. I didn't add talent to this character sheet because I think it would be too much. I don't need to have this specific. I could maybe try to get the talent and fit maybe in my asset. Like I have Bella, the dog, but I could say it's the dog, but it's a bloodhound or a fight dog. So, and then my asset would be more specific and more connected to the Mutant Year Zero book in the end. But the idea in the end is not to replace the rules from Mutant Year Zero entirely. It's just to streamline it a little bit. In the end, I don't have skills here anymore. I don't have talents here anymore. I just have concept. And I need to, and for me it worked because I although I just played it by using just one character, I could easily, with this approach, have 3 characters or even 4 characters without feel overwhelmed with a lot of things and details in each character. So it's easier. It was easier for me. Okay, but in the case of Forbidden Lands, it's a little bit more complicated because there are talents that requires willpower points. So it's not only for spells like Path of Blades. When you hit close combat, you can spend a willpower point to find a weakness in your opponent's armor. So I would basically need to have these in my side and try to use willpower points depending on the actions, because there are other talents that do not require willpower points. So some of them require willpower point, but other don't. So it's a little bit difficult in the end to establish a single way to play it. What we can try to do is basically just forget about willpower points for these talents. But if we do this for the magic, it would be, I would say, unfair, because only the spellcasters would need to use these, I would say, meta currents to cast their abilities, right? So I think it would be unfair. So the solution that I found in the end was to replace the push mechanic from Forbidden Lands to by using the Walking Dead push mechanic. So every time that one wants to use some kind of special talent, and unfortunately I do not have the character sheet printed here, but I'm working, I'm improving the Forbidden Lands mini character sheet, because I just removed willpower point. I'm going to use stress, and basically every time that I want to use a talent that requires willpower point or a spell, I need to increase my stress. So let's say I'm trying to fight or maybe even cast a spell, and if I say I would like to cast a spell, I would just add a stress die to it, and I would roll normally. And if I roll a 1 in the stress dice, in this case it didn't happen, yeah, then I have a complication. I would have like a misfire. Yeah, so I wouldn't roll like the dice, the amount of dice regarding the amount of willpower point that I spent. No, I wouldn't use this. I would just use the stress, directly the stress, because I think it's simpler. I'm also working in another mechanic, totally different, called pressure, that I think it could also work, but I still need to test it more. Yeah, I can talk about this maybe in another video, but the pressure is basically increasing, and instead of having several dice here as a stress, it's only one die that represents the pressure. And depending on your pressure level, if you roll lower than your pressure, then something bad happens. So basically that. And in the same way that you can just rest to reduce the stress that you have, you could just try to release the pressure by doing some action. So this is a separate mechanic that I'm working on, and I think could work really well also with Year Zero Mini and with magic, because you would increase your pressure, and if you use magic or even these special talents that requires willpower point very often, it would be too much pressure on you that in a moment you would probably mess up. Yeah, but again, pressure it's something that we can talk in the future, but I think the stress mechanic is really well established, and it works also really well with any game. I assume it's a good alternative to it. Also, and this is actually another thing, because as my focus is more on playing solo, because if I play in a group, I don't need this. I don't need to play. I can play, of course, using Year Zero Mini, and as I said, I already played it with my group in a specific setting that I have created. But if I'm playing The Walking Dead or Mutant Year Zero or Forbidden Lands with a group, I can just keep the rules as written. There's no need to change them. But one thing that happens here, and let me try to find it, you have the messing up oracle. So every time that you roll your dice, let's say I rolled here and I got the hand symbol in this case, but it's the one. If I roll 1 in a stress die, there is this mess up oracle, and I can roll basically to see what happens. And let me see here, it's a 5 and a 5. In this case, the secret issue for your haven or NPC is revealed. So created or the end game starts. So it's just, it fits of course really well to the Walking Dead theme, but you can use these and try to adapt these to the game that you are playing, or you can just try to understand in your scene what's happening. So just maybe you lose a gear, maybe you take some damage. It could be the case also. Maybe narratively things get more complicated. So there are several ways that you could use the stress mechanic in Forbidden Lands. So I think this is the push mechanic that I would keep to play Year Zero Mini with Forbidden Lands. And I also consider that it could work really well, as I said, with Mutant Year Zero. And if you want to play like Coriolis, right? Coriolis has a different push mechanic because it's based in dark points that the GM gets as meta currency to complicate the player's life. I would say that I can replace it also with the stress mechanic. It works better. I think it's easier for us solo players to manage it. I have no idea how I could do it with Coriolis. Like, oh, I have dark points. What does it mean? What should I do? Should I spend this to complicate my life? No, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to handle these things. But but I think that this is the best solution. I think this stress mechanic is the best push mechanic, and maybe my new pressure mechanic might be a good option, but yeah, we can talk about it in another video. So I think this is enough for this video. I hope it helps you guys to adapt your games to Year Zero Mini. Once again, this is a great system, great framework, and I think that we can just use this as inspiration to adapt any freely game based on the Year Zero engine. One last thing, the creator of this system is Matkay, and Matkay has a Discord channel, Three School Tavern, and you can try to find the link, or I can try to put the link here in the description also. He also has a YouTube channel, and in his Discord server he talked to everyone there, and he has been sharing that he would like to create a second edition or a version 2 of the Year Zero Mini. So he has been sharing there some ideas, and we have been talking to him and so on. So if you want to be in touch with the creator of this, and once again, this guy is not only the creator of the Year Zero Mini, he also wrote the solo rules for The Walking Dead and the official solo rules for Forbidden Lands in the Book of Beasts. He also wrote that. So if you want to be in touch with him, just go to his Discord and talk to us. I'm there also, so it would be a pleasure to have you all there talking, sharing your ideas and experiences and so on. So I hope this video helped you guys, and any other idea also feel free to add in the comments. Any doubts, if I can help you, it will be my pleasure. Thanks, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.